Okay. We had a question yesterday that if a person goes and cancels the shliach and is delivering the get, can the get be used afterwards to divorce his wife? So in Machlok is Rav Nachman and Rav Sheshes. Rav Nachman says yes. Rav Sheshes says no. Cannot be used. So Rashi explains, and from Rashi it seems to be everybody agrees that if he was very specific and say, I nullify the get is nullified. The question is, when a person cancels the agent, is he just canceling the agency, but the get remains intact? Or when he cancels the agent, he says, I don't want the get to be a functional get, therefore the get cannot be reused. Okay? So then the Gemara asks the question, the Gemara says in Kedushin, there's a machlokes, Rabbi Yochanan Shlokesh, if a person gives a woman an amount of money, and says, this should be for Kedushin, but should not take place until 30 days. 30 days, the marriage should take effect. So he did the act of giving, the Masi did now, to be effective in 30 days. So everybody agrees, if the woman accepts marriage from a third party, when the 30-day period comes, it's not effective, because she's already a married woman. Right? You can't marry a woman who's married to another man. Well, what happens? She didn't accept Kedushin with another man. She just says, I'm not interested. I want to retract. I'm not interested in getting married. Does that statement, does that actually, is she able to extricate herself from that original agreement that that marriage will take place in 30 days? Rabbi Yochanan says yes, it's canceled. She has a right.
She gives the money?
No, she gives back the money. She'll give back the money. But even though there was an action done, so Rabbi Yochanan says she could retract. Rabbi Shloka says she cannot retract. Why? Because we have a principle, dibur mivatel dibur, words could nullify words, but no words cannot nullify an action. Rabbi Yochanan says that's not an action. That's not an action. The Kedushin, because the money is only a means for her to get married, but what's essential there is the intent, because she originally is the consent. So as she consented, she could actually withdraw that consent. That's the machlokas, right? But it seems over there, they're all arguing, is that a sufficient action to be considered? Is that called an action, or is that called words? Kedushin. But if something is truly an action, everybody agrees you cannot retract. Words cannot undo an action. So the Gemara asked that question. So over here, we gave the get. How could Rav Sheshes say that the husband has the ability to nullify the get, right? He has the ability to nullify the get. Over there we see from Rabbi Yochanan Shlokish, everybody's agreement that if it's an action, words cannot nullify an action. And over here, if the get was infused with lishma, how could it be nullified? So therefore the get should be continue to be a valid get, right? We'll see in a moment. Wait. So the Gemara initially has a stira. Says, we rule like Rav Nachman. The Rav Nachman says that the get is still functional. Rav Nachman says the get is functional. He argues with Rav Sheshes. And yet by Kedushin, we rule like Rabbi Yochanan that you could retract. Over there, when the action was done. So in that Gemara it's differentiated. In the Gemara Kedushin, where she wants to retract before 30 days, it's words versus words. The latter word statement could actually nullify the first words, the first consent. So she could withdraw her consent. Over here, although he nullified the agency of the agent, there's a question what this means. But the get, is he able to, that's the question, is he able to nullify the get? So after everything's said and done, why? Like Tosa says, if you write a Sefer Torah Lishma, and afterwards you write the Sefer Torah and it meets all the criteria of a kosher Sefer, the person says, I want this Torah to be non-functional. I withdraw all my intent. You can't withdraw the intent. Once it's infused, it's a kosher Sefer Torah. So once the get is written for the woman and the sofer had in mind this woman, for this husband, that whatever it may be, it should be okay.
So what if she was married with a star? Not that. That's an action.
No. Okay. Before we ask complications, let's try to get to understand. Okay. 1 second. So I was thinking. This is what I was thinking. The question is, it really, is not Tosis. Tosis is it really comparable to a Sefer Torah? So David made it differentiate. Maybe kedusha. Once something assumes kedusha, we can't withdraw it. But here, this is not kedusha. The get has no kedusha. Yeah, but what is the basis? Here we're talking about maseh. Something which is a reality. Words cannot undo a reality. As you can't undo the Sefer Torah because it was infused. This is infused with the intent for the husband and wife. How do you withdraw that? Actually, the mindset was there. So I was thinking like this. This is what I was thinking. The Gemara says, if a person is commissioned as an artisan, let's say I give somebody wool to dye wool a certain color, okay? And I said I want it black, and he dyes it red. He chooses to dye red. He doesn't follow instruction. So the Gemara says, "Mishana b'das balabais hu gazlan." The person who goes and alters and does differently than what originally was agreed upon, he's a thief. He's a thief. So the obvious question is, how does he become a thief? He takes the wool's given to him, so he didn't steal the wool, right? And he puts it in a vat of dye, which is not according to the liking of the one who owns the wool, who commissioned him. If he doesn't follow instruction, he's a thief. Wait, so the question is, when did he steal? When did he steal? You have to do an action to be a thief, right? So, from Tosis, it seems to be when originally the person gave him the wool. I gave you the wool only on the condition that you're permitted to take the wool if you follow instruction. If you don't follow instruction, then when you take the wool, you have no right to take the wool. So the original taking is an act of thievery. You stole. So when you put it in the vat of dye, which doesn't follow the instruction of the one who owns the wool, that means the original taking was an act of stealing. That's the way I explained it. That's Mishana b'das balabais harihu gazlan. He's a thief. Whoever's doing daf yomi, it's towards the end of Bava Kama. Okay? But doing a shinu is that's not. You need a kinyan gzela. You have to do an act of acquisition to be a thief. No, because that's not an act of acquisition. It's not an act of acquisition. The person goes and tramples on something, breaks it. Is he a damager or is he a thief? He's a damager. To be a thief, you have to do an act. You have to take it out of the domain of. So when did he acquire it? When he took it, he was permitted to take it. He gave it to him. The answer, I give it. You only permitted to take it if you follow instruction. If not, then you're a thief. So, what the condition is based on the intent of the one who gave it to you, the owner. It doesn't make a difference what he becomes a thief when he took it. It's irrelevant what he had in mind. If you don't follow instructions, it's like Mataram Laslahausi. You give me Yesr and Lulav. I have a mind to return it. For some reason, I get a bug in my head later, I'm not returning it. Although when I took it, I had in mind. Bottom line, the man says it's only yours if you return it. You don't return it, it was never yours. So what are you? You're a thief. You're not Yotze. You're not Yotze Lulav, because it's not yours. Same idea, right? Now, the husband has commissioned the sofer to write the get on his behalf. What happens if he doesn't commission? He does it, he knows they're going to get divorced, and he wasn't authorized. It's not a valid get, right? And it's not because, and over there was question, is it shlichus? So Tosas brought a proof that commissioning, telling a person to write a get is not shlichus. Why? Because it says that if you have a child, and you have godel omen al gabo, if you have an adult instructing him on every word to have in mind for this particular couple, it's valid, and a minor cannot be a shliach. So what is it? It's purely the authorization. It's the authorization of the husband. So let's say the husband authorizes the sofer to write the get. Says, I'm authorizing them to get only if you meet certain criteria. If not, I'm not authorizing it. And he doesn't meet the condition of the husband. It's not a valid get. Correct? Same idea.
What did he write for the get?
Even though the sofer had in mind the wife, you weren't authorized. You only have the authorization if it's you meet my condition. You don't meet my condition, you're not authorized. Correct? So over here, what about if the husband had the get written, and he says it's only a get as long as I want it to be a functional get. But if I don't want it, it's not a get. That means initially, it's not a get. So I said that would be good if it was done through a sofer. What about he wrote the get himself? Right? Factually, he wrote the get himself. So then already you can't make the condition any longer. If it's a conditional, the husband himself, how do you retract? How do you nullify it? Factually, for his wife.
What if we put a condition? It is a get, but it's...
The Gemara says a whole, which we once studied. That's good that you said. Okay. The Gemara has a shaila in Chulin. When a person goes to a mikveh, does he have to have kavanah when he goes into the water to achieve that it should affect him, to relieve him of laws of he's contaminated? So the Gemara brings a proof that if a person falls in the mikveh, just accidentally falls in, and he's submerged in the water, he comes out, he's relieved of whatever that contamination was. So it says tefillah ein tzarich kavanah. So if you speak Yiddish, especially Lithuanian Yiddish, so our Yeshiva said, how do you explain? But for kochim, and you immerse yourself for kochim, which is rabbinical, you have to have intent that you're immersing yourself to eat sacrificial meat, to eat kochim. Unless you have that mind, you're not permitted. So even if you have a mind for chulin or for truma, it doesn't qualify to eat kochim. But these are rabbinical stringencies. But factually, tefillah doesn't need kavanah. So the question is why? But it's like, mitzvah shrichas kavanah, without a kavanah, it's nothing. So my Shimon said like this. In Yiddish, the word trukin means dry. That's how you say in Yiddish, dry, trukin. So he used to say like this. He says, Geinen rein in Wasser is a trukin pula. It's a dry action. That's the way you speak in Yiddish. Going in the mikveh, submerged, that's a dry action. That's the reason why it's effective regardless whether you have kavanah or not. It's like when you slaughter, you cut the throat of an animal, and you cut both the esophagus and the trachea, the majority, whether you meant for shechita or you didn't mean for shechita, factually it's considered ritual slaughter, because that's ritual slaughter, it's just the reality. So the same thing, going in the mikveh, reality is submerge yourself, that achieves a tara. Okay? Factually, Torah says that if you have in mind the documents infused, that it was written specifically for the husband and wife, and when the man does himself, it's not a question of authorization. So factually, he wrote it, and he wrote it for himself and his wife. Well, it's only if. What do you mean only if? How does that affect its value? Factually, it was infused with the proper intent. Because he has to be authorized. He has to be authorized. Without authorization, because the Torah says, Kosev will say, he needs Lishma, but even if he wrote a Lishma, if he wasn't authorized by the husband, he's not qualified to get. Because only the husband has the right to authorize the writing of the get. So if he writes himself, he's writing it, that's not authorization. But if it's a third party, the husband.
The man sits down and he says, I have all the right kavanas. It's for this man, it's for that woman, whatever. But I only want this get to become effective, to have that characteristic of get at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Doesn't work. Doesn't work.
You could not have
Cannot do that. No, doesn't work. Doesn't work.
So what's missing?
Nothing's missing. He had all the intent.
Yes, and why is it?
It's like a person writes Sefer Torah Lishmo. Says, I only want it should be effective to be a valid Sefer Torah tomorrow morning. But you wrote it. It's done. The Sefer Torah is finished. It's written.
The get didn't give it to you.
Rule like if you look rule like 80 Masira Karsim, right? Or you rule like Reb Meir. Reb Meir holds 80 Chasima Karsim. 80 Chasima. The get is a get unrelated to the giving of the get. And according to what's his name, right? According to Rebbe Lozer, it says the cost of the Sefer Krisus, it has to be written Lishmo. Okay, we'll continue next time.